is Yana and you're watching YanaTV, and today we are super thrilled to have an amazing guest that is Mukul Deva. And Mukul is an author to 15 books, many of them became bestsellers. He's a serial entrepreneur, leadership coach, and a former army officer. He's also still a mentor to many people. So Mukul, thank you so much for being with us here today. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you so much, Yana. I'm really happy to be here.
And my first question for you would be, given that you spent so many years in the army, and then one day you just decided to become a business person. Mm-hmm. So first of all, what was the fundamentals behind your decision to leave the army and set up your own company?
I left the army not because I was unhappy with it, because I had some personal issues I needed to focus on. Mm-hmm. So that was what compelled me to leave.
And then
I had signed on for 20 years, but I quit after 16 and a half.
And I know you signed on and you were working a lot with counterterrorism
Absolutely.
Organizations. So could you share with us maybe one story from that area, something that...
From the army?
Yes.
Then I'll have to shoot you and your audience. So no stories from the army. Suffice it to say that, I was in the Indian army. Mm-hmm. And India has a lot of friendly neighbors. So we did see a lot of action. Yeah. But beyond that,
you can't say anything on the camera. I totally understand that.
But I have written about them in my books. So the best.
So which one? The best book to read about it?
I would say it's the Lashkar series, which is a series of 4 books. Mm-hmm. Lashkar, Salim Must Die, Blowback, and Tanzim.
Okay.
These are the 4 which actually cover all aspects of terrorism and counterterrorism.
So for those who are interested in what is actually going on in the real world of the counterterrorism, you can read the books, all 4 of them, and it will give you complete download from the person who really knows it very well. Okay, so we can definitely do that. So then you decided to leave the army due to personal reasons. How did it help you, your experience being an army officer? How did it help you to transition into becoming a business person?
Oh, that's a very good question. Actually, the army teaches you 3 things which will be invaluable in every walk of life. Mm-hmm. And those 3 are focus, flexibility, and discipline.
And focus, flexibility, and discipline.
You see, focus, you have to remain focused on whatever you wish to achieve. Mm-hmm. But you need to be flexible, because no matter how good a plan you make, no plan will ever go the way you had planned it once it meets life.
Absolutely.
So you need to stay focused on the goal, but be flexible about the path you take to it. And discipline is the glue, the super glue which holds everything together. So this is all the army taught me, and this is all anyone needs to know. No matter what they do, no matter what level they do it at, to succeed, these are the 3 cornerstones.
Well, I love it. Absolutely. Are there any tips for people, those of us who maybe are not very disciplined? I know many people out there, specifically the maybe millennium generation, that all want to become lifestyle entrepreneurs these days. It happens to be a very fashionable topic. And discipline might sometimes be something that people have to work on. So is there any advice you could give? What is the best way to actually become a bit more of a self-leader and help yourself, to be focused on what you want to achieve?
Okay. All of us are actually very disciplined. Mm-hmm. Each one of us is disciplined about those things when we see the value.
Okay.
For example, if you like swimming or dancing, you will never deviate, you will never miss your class, you will never skip your swimming routine or dancing routine. So whatever you are passionate about, you will always do. So discipline is not really something we need to acquire. It's an inborn quality. All of us have it. And we exercise it every day on those things which are valuable to us. So for those guys who want to become more disciplined, start seeing the value. Get your passion in place and the discipline follows.
That's a great advice. I love it. So then you started the business, right? You started the business after you left the army.
That's right.
And it was your first business.
True. See, the reason I started a business, because when I joined the army, I had to quit school very early.
So you're a school dropout. Wow.
But I wouldn't call me a dropout. But I gracefully left school when I was 16. And then I set up after leaving the army, also I didn't really want to work for anyone. I was very clear that whatever I was going to do, I would do it on my own. So me and my business partner for that company, we set up a security company in India, which operates now in about 72 cities, or 7 states of India, north, west, and central India. And I must say, again, the same three qualities held me together and helped the company to succeed.
Okay. And then when you had this experience of running the company, I guess my next question would be, what was your maybe biggest business mistake in the first company that you have done, and then you have learned from that and moved on?
My biggest mistake. Okay, I must be honest with you that I don't think I made any mistakes in setting
Tell
up
me
the
more
company.
about that.
Right.
Yes.
No, because actually it was very simple. Any business you run is a matter of applying certain common sense processes repetitively. For that, you need discipline. And honestly, we did not have any challenge in setting up the company. In fact, we exceeded our own expectations every year for the first 3 years.
How did you do this? And usually for the startups, it's the other way around, people think like you don't draw salary for 3 years, or like it's really difficult. And, I think 50% of the companies are closed within 3 to 5 years.
True.
So how did you manage to actually make it, exceeding your expectations from the very beginning? What is the secret?
Okay, the secret was two things. Firstly, the correct selection of a business partner. My co-director and me, in fact, in both my companies, different co-directors, in both my companies, my co-directors and me are completely different people. The only thing we share is a strong value system and a desire to give back to community. Other than that, my first business partner, Dhiren Saxena in India, is a completely different person. So we brought complementary skills to the table.
Wow.
And between the two of us, we made sure that every foreseen angle of business had been covered by us. Then we laid down very clear targets. And because I was very focused on the target and very flexible about getting there, well, when I say flexible, the only thing you should not be flexible on is moral integrity.
Yes.
So other than that, we were very flexible, we were very focused, and both of us are very disciplined. But he's a civilian, so he's not so disciplined.
Of course,
So
nobody can compete with the army officer with discipline.
No, I taught him how to do it. And he taught me how to be a little more open-minded about stuff which I was very rigid about. For
You
example,
mean if they don't deliver, you would shoot them?
Something like that. Something like that. So he helped to kind of take the sharp edges off, and I helped him to become a little more disciplined. And together whenever we set a target, first, I think 3 or 4 years, we generally doubled it by the end of the year. That's why I said we exceeded our own expectations. And it was just a correct selection of business partner and ensuring that we were playing to our strengths. The two things we used to get going. So he had his own department, I had mine. We never interfered with each other. We played to our strengths and we made sure the company was moving forward. There was no rivalry between us. Absolutely. Total trust, transparency.
That's a great way of running the business.
Yeah.
And I know you continued because then also when you moved to Singapore, right? So you set up another company with Karen Leong that you're running right now.
Yeah.
And it also became very quickly very successful. So have you been applying the same principles there?
Absolutely the same thing. Karen Leong and me are completely different people. We share the same value system, the same desire to do community outreach. Other than that, completely different skill sets. And both my business partners had one thing in common.
Yes?
They listened to me.
They listen to you. Well, that's clearly we know who is the boss here.
No. But that's on the lighter side. But we work very well as a team. And again, in the second company also, we had laid out a certain number in our mind. See, money is not important as an end in itself, but it's a good way to measure whether you're on track.
Okay.
So when we laid out a number for ourselves, even in the second company, we almost always have exceeded it, at least by 50 to 70%.
Okay, so now let's say for people who may be thinking about starting their own business or maybe struggling, first few years in their business, like what kind of advice could you give them? How can they actually make it profitable from the very beginning? Because again, I know for many, it's not the first goal. Like people focus on building teams or they're building, communities or maybe building something else and then money comes later. But if you follow that, many don't have enough drive and they die out somewhere along the way, right? So what you did you started running it as a proper business from the very beginning, focusing on the profits and numbers. And then once you guys became successful, you also start doing more and more community outreach and, helping and giving back, right? So what may be the advice for younger generation who want to run their own businesses to do this kind of in the right way,
Okay. So there are two aspects to it. The first is that there are only two differentiators for any organization. Any company you set up. What differentiates you from anyone else in that industry are two things: human resources and your CSR, HR and CSR. What does the company mean for the community at large? And secondly, how much energy and focus are you investing on the people you engage to work for you? Because in the end, products and services are not very different. Whether you are hiring a car from company A or company B, it's a car. But the people who help you buy that service, they are different. So if you focus on the people and you focus on what your company means to the community, you will generally succeed. So that's one aspect. Now, what does it really mean when you translate it into action for a young entrepreneur?
Yes.
So there are two ways to look at this. When you start up a new organization, you are always working in the company. Which means you're driving the marketing yourself, you're driving operations yourself, you're driving training, recruitment, you're doing everything yourself. You're a one-man show. Which is why an entrepreneur, they say from the office boy to the managing director, you do everything.
Yes.
Including vacuuming the carpet and getting the office ready. So there is a stage when this is required, that you need to work in the company. And if you work hard enough and you're disciplined about it, you will get the initial start you need. However, the second stage is equally important. At one point in time, you have to stop working in the company and start working on the company. Which means you start focusing on the people you have hired and empower them to grow. The second stage, if you do not execute this, your company will remain restricted to the size of your vision and your energy.
And I know that you kind of yourself learned that really well when you decided to leave India, right, and to move to Singapore, and you have to transition, with your security company. So this is, I guess, was the turning point there when you left it, and the guys kind of had to take on the business and continue doing it even without you being present. And I know that it was very successful, right?
Right. You see, again, because I think it was in the fourth year of my first company that I stopped working in the company and I started working on the company. So I had hired managers whom I trusted. I trusted my decision in hiring them. I had invested 2 to 3 years on training them. So when I actually started working on the company, I pulled back and I allowed them to run. I gave them enough freedom to expand and use their ideas and help the company to grow. So now it wasn't me making the company grow. It was 12 different people pushing it in 12 different areas, each one of them a specialist in his field. So the HR guy is an HR guy. He knows what he's doing. The finance guy knows what he's doing. Ops, marketing, everyone was doing what they were supposed to be doing. That's how the company grew. And that's why when I exited, there was no jerk.
Okay.
It was a very seamless transition. I mean, I literally walked away I weaned myself out of the company. And the minute I finished doing that, I had achieved what most entrepreneurs just dream of: having a profitable organization and the time to enjoy what life brings to you.
And you managed to do this within 4 years with the first business?
No, I started professionalizing in the 5th year, and it took me another 3 years to professionalize.
Train. Yes.
Yes, it was only in the eighth or ninth year that I was ready to let go. After that, I was still living in India. I was still making the company grow, but I was focusing purely on the 12 or 13 people and getting them to grow. They were growing the company.
Thank you so much, Mukul, for being with us here today. And that was Mukul Deva, a leadership expert. So please do make sure that you follow all the tips that he mentioned to bring the most out of your people. Let them shine, let them follow their dreams within your company so that one day you can actually step back and do anything else that you want and your company gonna progress and bloom on its own. So do follow your dreams. And if you like this video, I would highly appreciate if you share it with your friends. Do stay with our YanaTV community, and we're gonna talk to you next week with more segments, more interesting people, more education and inspiration so that you can build the life and business of your dream.
Helped me to decide what to focus on was, can I see myself, doing whatever I was providing in that particular business for the next 20, 30 years?